Have you ever achieved something you worked hard for, and instead of feeling proud, you just felt uneasy? Or maybe you keep putting off that decision, that conversation, that next step, even though nothing is technically wrong. You tell yourself you're just tired, just busy, just not ready yet. But somewhere underneath, there's a quiet hum of tension you can't quite name. What if that feeling isn't laziness, or bad timing, or a lack of motivation at all? What if it's anxiety, just wearing a disguise so good, even you didn't recognize it? Here's what's actually happening. Anxiety doesn't always show up as panic or racing thoughts. Sometimes it hides as procrastination, indecision, irritability, or a vague sense of stuckness with no obvious cause. Psychologists call this a safety behavior. Your brain finds a subtle way to avoid a perceived threat, without you ever consciously registering the threat was there. Here's the deeper why. Your brain's number one job isn't happiness, it's survival. When it senses something risky, even something as ordinary as starting a new project or setting a boundary, it triggers your threat response. But your body can't always express that as clear fear, so instead, it slows you down, it distracts you, it makes you too tired to deal with it. This is your nervous system quietly protecting you from a risk it hasn't fully named, usually the risk of failure, rejection, or disappointing someone, including yourself. Think of it like a smoke alarm that goes off, but instead of loud beeping, it just dims the lights in the room. You don't see smoke. You notice everything feels heavier, harder, less clear. That's hidden anxiety, and it's exhausting because you're fighting a battle you didn't even know you were in. The good news? Once you can name it, you can work with it instead of against it. So let's talk about how to gently bring this hidden anxiety into the light. The first step is simply naming what's happening. When you notice that stuck feeling, pause and ask yourself, is this actually anxiety? That single question interrupts the automatic avoidance loop. Psychologically, this works because naming an emotion, something researchers call affect labeling, activates the thinking part of your brain and quiets the alarm center. You're essentially telling your nervous system, I see you, I've got this. It sounds small, but it's often the difference between staying stuck for weeks and moving through it in minutes. Next, get curious about the story beneath the surface. Instead of asking, why am I like this? Ask, what am I afraid might happen if I move forward? Usually, the honest answer is something like, I might fail, or someone might judge me. Once that fear is out in the open, it loses a lot of its grip. Anxiety thrives in vagueness. It needs the fog to keep controlling you. Naming the specific fear turns an overwhelming cloud into one manageable thing you can actually respond to. Third, take what's called a micro step, not the whole task, just the smallest possible piece of it. If writing an email feels paralyzing, open a blank document. If starting a workout feels impossible, just put on your shoes. This works because anxiety is fueled by the perceived size of a threat, and tiny steps don't register as threatening to your brain. You slip past the alarm system instead of triggering it, and momentum builds naturally from there. And finally, practice self-compassion in the moment. When you notice you've been avoiding something, resist the urge to criticize yourself for it. Try saying internally, of course, part of me wanted to avoid this. It felt uncertain. Self-criticism actually raises anxiety and reinforces avoidance, while self-compassion calms your nervous system enough to let you act. This isn't about excusing the avoidance. It's about removing the shame that keeps you frozen in the first place. When you put these together, naming it, understanding the fear, taking a tiny step, and meeting yourself with kindness, you're not forcing yourself through anxiety. You're gently working with your mind instead of fighting it. If any part of this felt like it was describing you, I want you to know you're not lazy and you're not broken. You've just been carrying something invisible, and now you know how to name it and move through it, one small step at a time. If this resonated more deeply than you expected, that might be a sign it's worth talking to someone. Online therapy is a flexible, accessible option linked in the description whenever you're ready. And if you'd like to explore this further, there are some wonderful audiobooks linked below, perfect for a quiet walk or right before bed. If this video helped you feel a little more understood today, give it a like, drop a comment below, and let me know what resonated, and subscribe for more here at Core Calm. Remember, the goal was never to feel no fear at all. It's just to stop letting the hidden kind decide your life for you.